Hi, everybody. Welcome to Infinite Horizon. Sorry, we're laughing because Olivia was telling us weird stories about stuff.
We were talking about something completely normal 1 second ago.
Yeah.
Yep,
Mm-hmm.
that's exactly
Definitely
what.
not conspiracy theories.
That's why we are so serious right now. Starting this. Moving on. Thank you everybody for being so patient. Both with that half-hearted bailout of my own joke, and also with us being a little late today. So, we're gonna keep this short so we can get immediately into things. We're also probably gonna go just a touch later than we normally do, kind of like last time, but less late. So with
Say lovey.
yes, before we start, I do have a couple of things to say at the beginning, which is that first of all, you can buy our merch.
God, where's mine? I'm so jealous.
I know that's what I was saying until yesterday when it just sort of arrived, or the day before. Time has no meaning. Whenever
Thank you,
it got
Lucas. I
here.
really did not want to wear this shirt for
Yeah.
the whole time.
Yeah. I will be honest with you. I forgot you were wearing that. It was not out of any charity to you, Freeman. It was purely out of
Well,
just
surprise for
excitement.
everyone involved.
It was.
I got lucky.
Yeah, it was purely excitement. So yeah, that you can get this and other wonderful merch in our merch store, which you can find somewhere down there, in here. You know, in this sort of down there general vicinity. Anyway, so yeah, the other thing, and this is something I'm very excited about, and I can't wait until the end of the stream to bring it up. Ramblemancy. This week, we are having finally, after we are having the highly anticipated episode where we have the Cypher Unlimited crew as guests. We're gonna have Spigs. We're gonna have Alpha Dean. We're gonna have Ancient Albatross. We're gonna have the whole gang. It's gonna be great.
Yay!
Yeah. Oh, did I not tell you that Al was confirmed?
No, I thought I thought we were missing out on Ancient Albatross.
We're
This
not.
Is news to
They messaged me later telling me that he's gonna be there. So
Yay!
we got
sweet.
them all. We got everybody.
The
So
whole crew.
I'm very excited about that. So be sure to tune in because as we have on Friday, we'll have our first episode of Ramblemancy dedicated exclusively to the Cypher system since like the third episode of Ramblemancy ever. So I'm very excited. Also, Gemini Lightning, thank you so much for that subscription. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Cheers and salutations. Keep producing. We will. Woo! Thank you. And the last thing I'm going to say before we go to our intro, because we're already very late. No, it's gone. No, it's back. So those of you who, I'm sorry, I was very low energy before the stream started, and now I just like jumped into chaos mode. So here we go. Those of you who were able to tune in on Saturday for our Borderlands 2 stream with John and Bree and I, thank you so much for being there and for hanging out with us for like 5.5 hours. That was amazing. It was so much fun. So much fun, in fact, that we are going to be doing it again this weekend. So if you missed it the first time or just really enjoyed it and wanted to see more, here it is. We're going to do it again. So yeah, we'll be doing that. There are a lot of great clips that came out of that one that I am currently in the process of editing into a montage, and I'm very excited about that. And yeah. Anyway, that's all that and more this week. I was gonna say at Rule of Lore, and then I was like, that's gonna rhyme. Let's go ahead and get the show started before I say anything else any other stupid things come out of my mouth.
No, it's so good.
All right. Yeah. Anybody else have anything else? No?
Olivia's cool new hair.
Yeah, Olivia's cool new hair.
Thank you. My girlfriend just shaved it for me during quarantine, and I feel like that's just part of the gay experience. So
Yeah, absolutely. So, all right, here we go. We're gonna start the show now. See you in a couple minutes.
Some will say this is the end. We're surrounded, but we won't give in. No. Who will save us? Who will save us? Sometimes you gotta let go.
and wreck. Um, let's see if I can get it together enough to actually recap. So, previously on Infinite Horizon. Nope, we're already off to a bad start.
Nailed it. Second one.
So, last time on Infinite Horizon, coming off of the heels of a very intense kind of couple of episodes where everybody was a suspect in everybody's eyes, and there was a spy aboard. It was revealed that there was a spy aboard Awakener, as well as sabotage that was allowing Silverbreak ships to track Awakener through FTL jumps. Brings us to today. Some of the highlights of last time, which I will not get too far into, but some of the highlights of last time include the crew discovering, through some pretty clever usage by Peach of her powers, that the spy amongst them was in fact their very own doctor, Abriel, who, with some questioning from Mason, revealed that that she had been working for Silverbreak, studying much of the phenomenon that was caused by some of these artifacts that Silverbreak seems to be so interested in. Among those things, seeming to imply that among those things was not only the warped that they had encountered on their first excursion onto a planet's surface since after waking up, but also seemed to imply that there was something connecting these artifacts to these powered individuals themselves. On top of that, also seemingly Mason inferred that there might have been some leverage that, or actually she as good as told them that Silverbreak had some leverage over her in the form of a hostage, Abriel's own sister, in fact. Furthermore, there were some there was a exterior some exterior damage that Olam, having nobody else in the vicinity to do it, suited up and went for a spacewalk on his own to patch up Awakener. It was a terrifying experience for Olam, but in the end managed to get the ship patched up. Meanwhile, Bina and Jade, crawling around looking for Sedona, their stowaway, found not only Sedona, but also they found Alma, her actual living human body, held in a stasis chamber, much like that all of them woke up from. During all of this, the Silverbreak vessels arrived, began sweeping the sector for Awakener, and in that time, Alma, not knowing that she herself was anything other than an AI construct, devised a plan that put her own life in jeopardy. A plan that would allow Awakener to jump one more time once Olam finished patching the breach that had allowed the Silverbreak ships to chase them down. To buy them some time, Peach once again unleashed the full extent of her powers, probably pushing herself beyond anything that she had done before, and shaped reality the way one would shape one of their own dreams, to confuse the vessels searching for them, in just a spectacular display. Bringing, what was it? It was a difficulty 8 down to what did you bring it down to, like a 3 or something like that? It was...
Yeah, I think it was something like that.
Yeah. A ridiculous reduction.
Bad.
Very, very cool. Bad. Yeah. In the end, managing to work together, Bina, Jade, Alma, and Sedona, kinda. She was there.
Moral support.
yeah, worked together to enact Alma's plan and jump them away from the Silverbreak vessels to safety, to relative safety. Um, During all of this, Abriel and Patch tended to Alma's physical body, who, at the end of last episode, where we left off, they had managed to extricate her from the smoking remains of the of the stasis pod and moved her to the med bay, where she sort of took her first look through her own eyes at the crew of Awakener before promptly passing out into an exhausted state, which is where we left off. For now, we'll say this. It has been about... It's been about a full maybe 36 hours since we left off. Not a whole lot of time. There hasn't been a whole lot of time for decompressing and talking, as pretty much the immediate concerns were making sure Alma was okay, and then after that, making sure that that their plan had been successful. Your plan had been successful. Silverbreak no longer tailing you, and then finding a place to set down and patch. Well, patch up the ship. So. In that period of time, basically people taking it in shifts to sleep and operate the ship, taking small rests wherever they can get it, and working on the ship itself, enacting some more permanent repairs rather than the dangerous patch jobs that you'd done in order to get away. We'll start just about as Bina, you are finishing up some of the last of the repairs. We'll cut to Bina in the bridge as you're just sort of routing like basically, if you recall last time, Alma had, in order to work on some of the things that you had been working on, had shut down a lot of the non-essential systems. So right now, basically, what you're doing in the cockpit is slowly bringing them back on and making sure that they haven't been affected by everything that just happened. The massive strain that has just been put on the vessel. Looking out of the forward view screen as you're listening to the hum of machinery around you, as you're waiting for it to come up and diagnostics to run, you can see out ahead of you a boundless expanse of ice and snow as you have sort of settled on a nearby planet, uninhabited as far as you could tell. Looking out at that, you can see just sort of the edges of the view screen that has sort of frosted over from the outside, somewhat obscuring your view, but not enough to miss the moonrise on the sort of far western side of this world as you are looking at it. The moon itself being very close to the planet, rising massive over the horizon, as the sky begins to darken. As you're sitting there, you can feel, as well as hear, the hum of machinery coming back on, as like the soft beeping of the instruments. Comforting. It's comforting, especially given everything that has happened over the course of the last couple of days.
Don't like a silent ship. That means shit's not running. Good to bring it all back online.
Very true. So, I'm working on stuff I should have done before the stream. Setting up ambience. Don't worry about it. Okay. Sitting there, you hear very soft rustling behind you, Bina, as you turn, and looking, basically coming face to face with the Nelfin girl, Sedona, as she steps into the cockpit and sort of sees you, nods, and sort of awkwardly hovers near the entrance to the cockpit.
Do you come in? Yeah, come on.
She steps over and hesitates, and then sits herself down in the co-pilot seat, as she just sort of sits and she draws up her knees to her chin and sort of wraps her arms around them and looks out of the view screen. She just sort of looks out and she says, "When I was little, I grew up on a planet kind of like this."
Cold one?
Mm-hmm.
Big moon?
No.
Mm.
Not like that.
It's cool though, isn't it?
It is. How long are we staying here?
Until I get all the systems back up and running, I'm assuming. We still have some work to do. It seems to be going okay so far. I kind of botched a couple of systems to get us out. So hopefully that doesn't keep us stranded for too long. How you holding up?
Good. Better now.
A lot of stress all in one day. Not so great.
We arrived at the best possible outcome.
Yeah.
She just her eyes sort of wander around the cockpit for a bit.
Is she less like tense around us now? Is that kind of like
Yeah, I
from
mean,
from a feeling standpoint, not quite from a
yeah, you
appearing?
There's still some traces of it still there. A lot of it that is reflexive, instinctual. But the weird thing is, and you really haven't had a chance to think about it up until now, but
Yeah.
thinking about it now, the weird thing is that it sort of seems like the tension that she was exuding pretty much all stopped the moment that Awakener completed her last jump. Like immediately, like it all washed away. In fact, thinking about it now, you're vaguely recalling noting an overwhelming sense of relief. But yeah, she seems much more relaxed now, evident even in her being a little more vocal.
Yeah. Starting conversations.
Yeah. She kind of looks over at you and just says, How's Alma?"
How is Alma, Jam?
She's been basically sleeping since this whole thing started, with Abriel watching over her and Patch watching over her.
Yep. Yep. That checks out. Well, I haven't talked to her, which is a little bit weird. You know, you've been around. I'm still kind of talk out loud, and I forget that you can't hear me anymore. But, I mean, there's been nothing weird yet. So hopefully she'll be up soon. Thank you.
For what?
I don't know. Just being here.
I'm sorry about not letting you tell her. It just,
I don't think she wanted to know anyways.
she would have doubted if she knew. And then, well, I don't think she would have been able to do it. And if she was, then not in time.
It's okay. I told her that she couldn't be mad at me about it, but she can absolutely be mad about for not telling her. I won't tell her you knew.
She nods and kind of slight smile. You can sort of see that she's like working around something, and like you can even sort of feel it a little bit. Like you can kind of feel like uncertainty of like not really knowing how to broach a certain topic, but she's just sort of
We don't have to talk about it yet if you're not ready.
talk about what?
Whatever.
Okay.
You can if you want. I'm not stopping you, but I'm letting you know that it's okay. Everything on the ship is a little bit weird. In case you hadn't picked that up already.
Okay.
I do want to talk about it at some point, but it doesn't have to be now.
You suddenly feel just sort of a surge of frustration.
Directed at me, or
No,
just like
just sort of in general. She looks up at you and just seemingly like as your eyes meet, there seems to be this understanding that she felt something and she knows that you felt her feeling it. As she looks over and she just shakes her head, she says, "It's just sometimes there are things that I want to talk about, but I don't know if I should because that might change things. And I can't talk about what I can't talk about so that I can talk about it with somebody to know what to do." Does that make sense?
Surprisingly, yes.
I have hurt people before by accident, by telling them things that they shouldn't know. And I don't want that to happen to anybody. Not, especially not now, and not all of you.
Understandable. I mean, if it makes you feel any better, I trust your judgment.
Well, I'm like you.
Yeah.
I sometimes can see how things are going to happen, or how they might happen. Sometimes I see a bunch of them. And I can change things. I can try to influence one over the others, but I have to be really careful. Because sometimes knowing causes more problems than not knowing.
Sounds stressful.
It's kept me alive a few times.
Useful too.
It's how I knew where your ship was going to be. It's how I knew that I needed to get on board your ship. It's why I stole supplies when I did, because I knew Jade would find them.
Crafty.
Are are you going to make me leave?
No. We haven't really had a habit of doing that yet. I don't see why we need to start now, if I'm being completely honest. Don't tell anyone, but I'm kind of gonna vouch for Abriel too. We'll see how that goes over. But no, you can stay as long as you want. Or we could drop you somewhere if there's a place you want to go. As soon as we're up and running again, which again, might take a little bit of time.
Okay. I'm gonna go find Jade.
Sounds good.
She stands up and she stops at the entrance to the cockpit and turns back around and she just says, She should stay.
I think so too.
And she turns around and starts walking back down out of the hallway as you can hear her footsteps soft retreating down the corridor.
I love her. I go back to work.
At this point, where are the rest of you?
I think Olam is outside making a more permanent repair to the fuel line breach.
Okay.
And doing so by watching what might be the equivalent of a YouTube video about how to do this kind of industrial work. I picture me with my my EVA suit on, but the visor down if there's a breathable atmosphere on this planet,
Mm-hmm.
like hanging on to a thing with like a little data pad screen also like magnetized or taped onto the side of the ship or something, like watching the video, pausing it really quick, and then like doing stuff with the cutting and adhesion torch. And
Got
just
my
out there,
whole tool belt like out there with.
yeah, just like and like cursing occasionally and like like dropping little tools and having to like float down and grab them and then like hover back up, and so gradually figuring out how to actually fix that part is what Olam's working on.
All right.
I'll just be watching you.
Yeah, I don't.
So I assume that in these, like, how much time has passed? You said like 30.
About
like,
36 hours, yeah.
36 hours. I assume that like after we were out of immediate danger, that like Mason and Peach would have definitely made sure that we got Gabriel somewhere secure so that she could no longer send any updates, sabotage anything.
Yeah.
Like she would be secured somewhere on the ship.
Pretty
I think
much.
is, like, priority.
Medbay is very secure. It is centrally located. Does not have access to like exterior communication. Plus, it allows her to watch over Alma, and Patch is just sort of watching her the whole time. Just sort of.
Yeah, okay. And then any kind of like areas that are April's areas in the ship, I would definitely probably recruit Mason to help me with this. In those 32 hours, I want to go through all of her shit.
Mm-hmm.
Like everything she owns, like everything that she's been like typing in. Like I want to make sure that she doesn't have any hidden way to communicate with Silverbreak, and just kind of see what we can find.
All right. Sounds good.
Pull out my space equivalent of a micro whatever.
Magnifying glass.
Thank you.
And I figured you'd know where the hiding spots would be.
Yeah, actually, yeah. How do you figure? Yeah, I may have needed to hide things, in the past. I know a thing or two.
Or uncover things.
Yeah. Let me take a look-see.
I imagine like a search sequence happens, like montage of like tearing open things and.
I think I'm. Yeah, you know what? I think we should make it a roll.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh,
I think
cool.
we should.
Nice. I love it.
Yeah, it'll be an intellect roll. The difficulty will be 4.
Beautiful. Okay. Well, This is not. I don't have any training in searching things.
Do you not? I feel like
Is that? I don't know. I don't think
I
so.
swear that you have something like that from.
Sort of investigative.
Well, investigative wise, yes. I think I probably have from guarded. I think it gives me. I just brought up my book too. Where did I put it? Sorry. Oh, here it is. Guarded gives me things about discerning falsehoods and such.
Right, but doesn't the your focus, who solves mysteries, doesn't that?
Oh gosh, probably. I haven't looked at that in a while. Since last week. It's not a while, it's a week, but it feels like more. I don't know. Yeah, what page is that on, y'all's?
I
I thought I had it bookmarked,
think it is
honestly.
on 90 something.
I was...
My guess.
At this
No,
point, the impart ideal basically has faded completely. So
Oh,
it's-
definitely, yeah.
she's doing her own thing now. Who knows what
Yeah.
she's doing?
And actually, whenever you've like stopped in to check in on her since it went away,
Pretty frosty.
a little bit, but like more than anything, it just the sense that you get from her is more. It's more like like dejection is what you're getting. You're seeing. There's really no other way to put it. You are seeing somebody who. You're seeing a broken individual, somebody who
Failed.
who was holding on to by just a few threads, and all of them just in one fell swoop just got snipped.
Mm-hmm.
She's still tending Alma and treating her, but she seems to be mostly going through the motions. She's doing what she can, and what she's doing she's doing her job, but things that Peach would notice right away. She doesn't make eye contact at any point. Rarely will look up at anybody. If she says anything, it's not more than a few words, and not particularly projected. So mostly kind of like barely more than mumbles.
How's Alma doing, Gabriel?
She's okay. Her vitals are stable.
Okay, good. Good to know she's doing okay. And I'm just gonna keep doing whatever we're doing in here.
Yep. Freeman, did you find it?
No, I'm still looking.
You should be solved in perception from your focus. That's what it says for the first tier solves mysteries.
Okay,
So, train.
Yeah.
Okay.
that makes sense.
It's
I don't know
finding the clues is the first step in solving a mystery. You are trained in perception, enabler.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So that's difficulty down by 1. So it's down to 3.
I'll spend a little bit of intelligence.
Yeah. It should go without
My
saying, by the way, by this point, everybody has like recouped everything.
Yeah.
So just-
So we don't have to spend since I'm helping look for things?
Huh?
Or no? Can I be an asset in this role
Yeah.
since I'm helping Mason?
Yeah, absolutely.
So we don't have to spend?
I
So
mean, if you want to
okay.
spend, you can still spend, but you're also getting an asset from.
So I'll bring it down to a 2.
Yes. Yeah.
All right, I'll just roll with that then.
Okay.
I won't spend anything from my intellect pool. All right, here we
Nice.
go. I'm gonna roll,
6 or better.
and I got a 6. How about that?
All right.
Baby.
All right.
Oh man.
You search through everything. You search through the space that she has occupied as like living space. You search through the med bay. You search through everything. After that, you even start kind of combing the ship to see if there are like little sneaky hideaways and things like that. It's possible there might be some little like secreted away caches that she might have set somewhere, but amongst her stuff, you find a lot of scientific data. Some of it is pretty clear that it came from the colony. Some of it is observations on. Basically, they look like behavioral observations. She was observing the populace. What is clear from what you find from her observations is that she was well aware that whatever Silverbreak was doing, they were doing it. Whatever containment they had dropped over whatever they were studying, she knew that they had done it. At what point she knew is unclear, but at what point in the process is unclear. But it is very obvious that she knew what had been done and was studying the effects of that specifically. The whatever process turned the populace into the warped, that's what she was specifically studying. You can see a few theories, a lot of which you don't really fully understand, but a few guesses that she has written down as to ways that such effects might be avoided or prevented in many cases, given long exposure, prolonged unprotected exposure to these artifacts. There's also Peach. As you're looking around, you also managed to find a small projector, just sort of like a handheld projector, probably no larger than maybe like a finger. As you pick it up and you activate it, you see a holographic image projected of a much younger Abriel with another woman who looks to be about maybe a little younger than her, both Anzalonian, and you can see the resemblance. Both of them are smiling, standing in front of what is very clearly a university. And you can see the younger woman wearing like graduate's gown and regalia. Both of them are smiling, and Abriel has her arm around her. She looks very proud.
Just gonna kind of look at it kind of for a second and just take a moment and then set it back down and pretend that I did not see it.
You glance over at Mason, who's still kind of going through like the files that he's finding, just sort of skimming them all.
Nothing in there.
What do you want to do with Abriel? What do you think we should do?
Oh, I've been giving it some thought. I can't help but think that if I were put in the same position, if I were in her shoes, I would do the same thing.
Yeah. On one hand, it's really not safe to have someone on this ship who's going to be feeding the enemy information about us. Even if we search the entire place, we have no way of knowing if she can, sabotage something else without us knowing. But on the other hand, aren't our causes kind of the same?
And we need a doctor.
I just don't know if she can be trusted to believe that we have enough power to help her.
We can at least keep an eye on her until we come to a decision, I suppose. We will all talk about it.
Yeah, your intern Patch seems to be keeping a pretty good eye. So
Intern.
That's what we used to have sometimes in some different offices, some interns.
Oh yeah, in my line of work we call them partners,
Okay.
but it's all the same, really.
Well, they seem to do a good job.
Yeah.
I wonder when the hell we'll find out why they're here.
I don't know. I don't know.
Let me know if you find anything in those files.
I will. Nothing yet, and no reason to believe that there's anything hidden. Not that I can see yet, but you never know. We didn't know that there was an actual Alma until recently. Who knows what else is on this ship and hiding out? Mysteries that need to be solved.
I hope Alma wakes up soon.
Yeah, me too. Kind of like Mason just kind of looks wistfully off in the distance.
I imagine that we searched for a long time and now we're just kind of sitting there like, oh God.
It's sort of like that.
So many mysteries to be solved.
It's a little bit that feeling when you're cleaning your room and you just like get to a point where you just get overwhelmed and you just sort of sit there like brain completely burned out and you're just sort of sitting in and amongst this like the contents of your room strewn everywhere, just sort of staring at it and nothing at the same time. It's a little bit that.
Oh, I know. Been there a lot.
We'll go ahead and at that point cut to outside, where Olam is sort of standing. Oops. I'm trying to find the right balance
Conducting
here.
repairs in a much less stressful environment.
Much less stressful. Olam, as you're sitting there, like watching the video and then going, okay, and kind of going between the video and the repair, you hear the clanking of mag boots coming as you look up and you see a heavily bundled Jade who is sort of standing, looking down at you, and he says, I don't mean to rush you or anything, but are you done yet?
No, I think I'm about halfway through. Honestly, you'd probably be quicker at this kind of thing. If
he looks at his terminal and just says, I mean, you've been out here for 2 hours.
Yeah, it's the thing is, it's all new to me.
No, I mean, sorry, I just surprised is all.
Well, if you've got a moment, I wouldn't mind a little help.
You want some help? Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. And, thank you, Jade.
He sort of slowly lowers himself down, rigging up another harness as well, and like sort of lowering himself down to where you are, and he looks at it. He says, "Oh, actually, you're almost done."
Oh, good.
He said,
I guess the last half of the video must be advertisements for something else.
He glances over. He says, "Yeah. Oh, I see what they're doing. Yeah, you don't need to do any of that." And he like looks over and he just says, "See, this is a different engine than what he's working on there. You see, what he's got is the X-43,000.
Mm-hmm.
We have this is well, this looks actually, if I had to guess, probably some sort of modified version of the 48,000. So they're similar looking, but they're very different in practice. So you actually don't have to mess with any of that housing stuff."
Oh, okay. Great. Okay, good.
He says, let's see, hand me that torch. Yeah, and basically he just like setting to work. As he's working, and like he notices that you're watching him, he kind of does that like glance up at you and glance back, says, "So, Abriel, huh?"
Yeah. I picture my boots are still attached and I'm in a harness, but I'm like also like clinging on to some kind of like greebling or something of that.
Yeah.
Shit. I like turn my head and look up at the rising moon out. It's like ice fields?
Yeah, basically, like
Oh
you can
gosh.
you can
Okay.
see distantly, maybe about maybe about probably like about 2.5 miles or so away, where you can see where there's like cresting uh, ridges of that look like they're entirely made of snow and ice, shaped up into these massive, almost claw-like protrusions from the ground, um, suggesting that there's probably some pretty intense winds that pick up on this world. But yeah, at the moment, uh, there's just sort of this soft, gentle flurries that are sort of being whipped up by small breezes.
Nice. I have, and then I wipe some of the like soot and like welding dust or whatever off my face with the arm of my suit, and I kind of turn back to Jade, and I'm like, yeah, it kind of makes sense that it was her. I guess it's still discouraging.
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess we just leave her here with food and a beacon. I don't know.
He suddenly starts cursing as he like almost like just barely manages to avoid slicing off one of his own fingers with the torch as he looks at you and says, "Wait, really?"
Sorry. What do you mean? Oh, I don't know. We haven't had that conversation yet, but I figure it's not smart to keep somebody on board who's been willfully putting all of our lives in danger this whole time.
Right. I mean, yeah, that makes sense.
We think, well, you know her. You know her more than any of us. I guess you might have something else to say.
Not
Anything.
really. I mean, anytime I tried to ask her about herself, she avoided the question. I didn't really think much of it at the time because sometimes people don't like to talk about their past, but now I guess, yeah, it kind of makes sense.
Yeah. I just feel like anything I think I know of her is falsehood.
Yeah.
She knows medicine. That's true. Other than that, huh?
Yeah. Yeah.
But we'll all have to talk about that soon.
Mm-hmm.
Don't let me distract you.
No, I'm actually done here. Here, he hands you the torch back. He says, "No, like I said, you were almost done. You just needed to finish."
I look carefully at his work compared to mine. I'm like, all right, okay,
Yeah.
Good. Let's not spend any more time out here than we have to then.
Yeah. Yeah. Here, let me take some of those. And he starts grabbing some of the tools that you have spread out, and the two of you, sort of in relative silence, kind of continue like lifting stuff up to each other, kind of handing it stuff up so it make it easier to carry back inside. And you finally finish, and you're kind of lifting yourself up out of the harness and starting to disconnect it. And Jade goes, "Is that?" I guess I just wonder because, I mean, I heard Mason and Peach talking about what she told Mason while we were all working on the ship and stuff, and it seems like she didn't really have much of a choice, or at least didn't feel like she did. It kind of also seems like she doesn't really have anywhere to go. I mean, I guess that's not really maybe that's not our problem, but I mean, I don't have anywhere else to go. And nobody else to help me. Maybe that's all she needs.
Yeah. You know, Jade, I can't really speak to this with any more authority than you can, and probably far less than Peach and Mason. If everybody on the ship wants to give her another chance, then I guess that's what we'll do. All I know is whatever her situation, I think we have to. This may sound cruel, but we may have to place our own well-being after those who have worked against us at some point, if not now. We've seen it. We want to save everyone, right? We want everyone to live and be well, but I don't think it's always possible. And I don't know if it is now or not with Adriel. What is it? Adriel? Abriel.
He nods and says, "No, that makes sense. I just wanted to make sure because I don't really know what to think. I think I was hoping that somebody else did, but it kind of makes me feel better that nobody else does."
Yeah. We're all in the same ship in a lot of ways.
Is that what it's like for everybody all the time?
Oh, what? Never knowing what to do ever in any circumstance?
Yeah.
Yes. Well, that's my experience. I think some people are really good at making that look not true from the outside.
Yeah, like Peach and Bina.
Well, in their case, I don't know. They might know what they're doing sometimes, but well, from the outside, you never really know.
I don't. And it kind of makes me feel better.
That's good. Well, here, I start to lean inside. I'm like, at the very least, each of us knows how to do small things. We know what to do in small circumstances, like you coming out here doing in 8 minutes, which would have taken me 40 plus all the ads at the end of that video. So take comfort in that.
Yeah.
We all have small.
I can
skills.
I can show you how to install a blocker for those. You don't have to listen to all of him.
Okay. Really?
Yeah. Oh,
and
it's going to change your life.
I've wasted so much time, Jade. You're a lifesaver.
Yeah. Also, he kind of wrinkles his nose a little bit at glancing at your tablet and just says, "I can show you some better tutorials. They'll be more helpful, I think."
That'd be great. Anything related to ship maintenance, this systems, computers, shipboard, anything. I think the more each of us knows about it, the better off we'll be.
Yeah. I mean, I've already learned a lot. I mean, I didn't know anywhere close to as much as I know now when I first came on board. I just remember Tan just asking if anybody on the ship was good with ships, and nobody else was raising their hands, so I figured I'd help.
There you go.
Wow, did it just get colder all of a sudden?
I feel like it's been a process ever since.
Okay.
Well, I pointed at the gigantic moon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's go inside.
Clunk, clunk, clunk.
It's like, hey, do you know if anybody brought any hot chocolate on board?
Dude, out of character, did somebody specifically say that earlier or not?
I don't know.
I don't think
You
so.
specified ingredients for pizza, but I think all their foods were just like general stock.
I say, I think I saw some. There's a lot of coffee, but I think under it there might be some cocoa or something like that.
There might not be as much coffee left. Mason kind of drinks a lot of it.
yeah, Mason has a daily regimen of consumption that's not necessarily something anybody should emulate. Um,
Yeah.
we'll get coffee next time we stop down somewhere that stocks it, and if we don't have it, cocoa too.
Yes.
Chocolate.
All right. As you are approaching the hatch on the top of the ship, he opens it and you begin lowering stuff down to each other, and eventually make your way inside. So, anybody have any particular scenes they would like to have?
Yes.
Yes, go for
At
it.
some point over the 36 hours, probably not for the first, after the first 24 hours after this shit happens, I don't think Bina sleeps. I don't think she stops. Like, I think she fully exhausts herself until she can't do shit anymore, until she has to pass out. And then gets up again, and this is her next day after being awake for way too long. At some point, probably after she has a moment to be like, oh, I should take care of being, alive and stuff. When everything's going good, she's getting systems up. When she has a moment, I want to go see Alma, but I also want to talk to Abriel, which I'm assuming they're still in the same place.
Yep. Definitely.
I do that.
There's to the point where there's even been one of the emergency cots has been set up in the med bay, so that Abriel never has to leave it.
Oh boy. What's she up to?
As you're stepping into the med bay, you see. It takes you a second to get in because you're not used to overriding security protocols to enter the med bay, but when you do, you can see Abriel is just sort of sitting on the edge of the cot, just sort of staring at nothing, with Patch in the opposite corner staring at her.
I've brought snacks.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to enter the room. I'm assuming the door is probably shut behind me or whatever. And I'm just like, oh.
Patch reacts to your presence first and turns and looks to you, and they say, "Welcome. Have you come to check on the prisoner?"
Well, I came to say hi to you. How's it going?
Oh.
Came to a multi-purpose visit. See how Almu is doing and etc.
Things are going well. Conditions here are optimal.
That's good.
And then turns and looks directly at Abriel, who has still not reacted to your being in the room.
Yeah. I want to go up to Alma. Am I just getting sleep vibes from her?
Yeah, pretty much. She is. There's a subtle difference between the feeling that you get from somebody when they are unconscious or when they are just or when they're just sleeping. There's a very subtle difference. Right now you're getting this sleeping from her.
And being just kind of be like, hey buddy, I hope you're doing okay. It's weird not being able to talk to you all the time. I'll see you when you're awake. Okay. And then she's gonna pat her shoulder gently. She doesn't, from anyone else, it would seem like she doesn't know how to interact with someone who isn't directly interacting back with her. But so she's gonna turn and Abriel's just sitting on the cot.
Yep.
She's gonna go and kind of sit down next to her. And kind of hold up snacks that I'm hoping that I have some idea of the type of snack that Abriel likes over the past however long we've been in here. But if not, then being a guest.
Yeah. Abriel, it takes her fully about a minute or so of you sort of sitting there just holding out the tray, as she slowly turns to look at the tray, then to you, and then back to the tray, and just shakes her head.
Bina will kind of turn and find a stool that she can set it on, and just kind of I think she'll let the silence sit for a little bit, and then I never said thank you, so thank you. for helping.
What do you want?
That? To say thank you?
You're welcome.
I'm sorry this is happening. Also, probably doesn't feel very good.
Being stuck in here isn't the worst thing that is happening to me, so it's fine.
I guess that's, I won't say it's good to hear, but I guess that's not awful. That's good.
So, has the crew decided my fate?
No, I don't know if anyone's talked about it yet. That's probably not what you want to hear. But we've been kind of busy because the ship has been. I kind of busted it pretty bad trying to get us out of there, so I don't know what you've heard much of, but yeah, we're kind of sitting, trying to do repairs and stuff.
Well, good luck.
Thanks. It won't be bad. Whatever happens from here, I guess. We're not gonna, like, I don't know, leave you on a moon or something.
I'm not worried about what you and your friends are going to do to me.
If you could stay, would you want to? Hypothetically.
At the moment, I'm going to be very honest with you. At the moment, I don't particularly want to be anywhere.
That checks out. Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, if you were to stay, I don't mean like this, like chilling in here with a babysitter. Sorry, Patch, uh, or anything like that. Just like, I'm not gonna say how it was before because a lot has happened, but like how it was before.
Look, if you want to keep me around, that's your business. I'll patch you up as much as I can whenever I can. I will look after your health if that's what you want.
April,
But
I'm not telling you what I want. I'm just asking what you want.
I can't get what I want. So, what you want is going to have to do.
You help people. You've been doing that for us despite apparently having ulterior motives. You're good at it too, obviously. And like I said, I haven't really talked to everybody yet. But I don't think you're a bad person. And I don't think you wanted to hurt us just to hurt us or anything like that. But you help people and you've helped us. And I mean, if it were up to me, I'd want to help you too.
As you're talking, she sort of stood up and is now kind of like leaning against one of the like mobile examination tables as she's just sort of leaning up against it. And as you finish saying that, she stands there, and you feel that sudden surge of like anger and despair, and you just see as she takes like the whole tray and just whips it across the room, just this loud clatter. Patch suddenly stands, and she turns and looks at you, and she says, "You don't know a damn thing about me."
I don't.
She kind of glances over her shoulder at Patch, who has sort of stopped, just sort of standing ready, and she just shakes her head and she says, "I'm fine." She says, "I've got a lot of work to do, mess to clean up."
Enjoy your snacks. And Bina will get up and head out. Head back to the bridge.
You, as you're exiting, you pass Patch, who is just sort of watching you as you go past. The interesting thing is, usually when Patch stares at people, it seems like they're just sort of curiously observing them. This feels much more like just sort of making significant eye contact and just going,
Oh, like a check-in.
Yeah, like a
Okay, then on my way out, I'll just kind of like pat Patch's elbow and just kind of like nod at them and before I head out.
The door closes behind you as you make your way back out into the ship. Anybody else scenes you want to have?
I think that something Peach would definitely have done at some point, probably right after the whole after we searched through Abriel's stuff and kind of had a moment, she would definitely go to lay down and kind of rest for a while. And I think that definitely while she is going to sleep, she sees kind of what basically she did earlier in the day, kind of the bending of space, and cannot stop hearing that voice that was talking to her. And I imagine she just falls asleep, feeling like she's floating through space, like she has in several other dreams before.
All right. Then, I think, unless anybody else has specific scenes they would like to have. Okay. Then I think what we're going to do is we're going to cut to a little while later, after everybody has kind of completed repairs and nourishment and all that, as everybody has gotten a little bit of rest. For the first time since touching down on the planet, everybody getting rest simultaneously. Where everybody has, all of you except for Patch and Abriel, have gathered in the galley. Jade is just sort of clearing up some dishes. As he's doing that, he's grabbing Olam's plate as he sort of makes eye contact with you, Olam, and he goes, "So, what's the plan?"
I turn and look at everybody else and sip my hot chocolate that has way too many marshmallows in it.
Good.
I say, I don't know, but I think that's something that we should decide as soon as we can, right?
How are repairs looking, by the way, just to have context for this? Are we a few days from being able to lift off again, or are we good to go? What does the ship look like?
As far as everything that you've been doing, everything looks like it's pretty squared away.
Okay. We probably need parts. Probably.
Not
how are those couplings sitting?
You're probably gonna want to replace them soon. Next time you're able to, yeah.
okay,
they
cool.
got a bit worn in the process.
Yeah, botched them. Okay,
Yeah.
all right, cool. Just wanted to get
Yeah.
for planning future things. Cool.
Jade says, Olam and I got the thrusters patched and everything is ready to go. There shouldn't cause any more trouble. Eventually, we're probably going to want to do a full replacement, but right now I think we're good, and probably should hold out for quite a long time actually.
That's good. The power cells are all recharged, but the couplings are definitely going to need replacing. But
Yeah.
that was obvious. But everything, all the systems are back online. Cold doesn't seem to be affecting us too much. That's nice. It's a nice ship. We've got a nice ship.
We should not stay here any longer than we have to. As far as we know, nobody knows our location now, but we can't be sure that information won't get out somehow. Plus, I'm in a hurry to see this professor.
Definitely.
I think that we should probably address the doctor in the ship.
Yeah.
So, first things, we can't just leave her. I mean, she has so much knowledge. She has so much leverage over us. She knows a lot about us, and if we left her here, she would die, obviously. Like,
I also promised her we wouldn't do that, so
okay.
she kind of points at everyone individually and then continues listening.
So if we have her on the ship for any period of time, like it seems like we will, we need to be very careful about what we are disclosing and talking about near her. At that, mostly looking at Bina.
Bina's like seems exasperated by that, and then is like, "Oh yeah, okay, yeah, you're right."
Tell her she could find a way to report back to the people who are hunting us. Whether she wants to or not, it's
If we left her here with a suit, with shelter, with rations, and with a distress beacon, maybe her old Silverbreak friends would just come scoop her up again. But I assume she'd share everything she already knows about us that she hasn't. Including...
I assume that she's said everything at this point.
I mean, our ability can still be developing, so there's much more she probably could share in the future too.
Yeah, right. So, this is if she shared everything she knows. Maybe we don't want to go to the professor so soon. But in any case, what do you think about that? Is that foolish to leave her? What are the chances that she'd even be found? I guess I don't have a sense of that. Is it a death sentence if we leave her here in the ice, even with a distress beacon?
Even if they found her, it might be one.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, if her job was to be on that colony because she had debt, and then she continued her job because she had debt, while, with us, trying to pay off that with us, she hasn't paid it off yet. If we just send her back, she has nothing.
They'll just put her to work somewhere else doing the same thing. We
don't know them. We don't know their deal. To them, maybe it looks like she failed them twice.
They might
Who's to say that it's a death sentence whether or not we give her back to them?
We are kind of like a big payday for her, I agree. I mean, look at how relentlessly they have been following us.
Well, I think you're right to be concerned about her, obviously. I mean, something that I do think, though, is that she might still be helpful to us. I mean, if we can somehow get her on our side for real, not just through like manipulations, I mean, she could be a really big insight. Imagine if instead of her being a spy on us, she was a spy for us. I mean, that would be incredibly helpful.
Well, first of all, you should stop talking about her like she's an asset and not a person.
Why can't she be both?
Well, she's a person first.
Okay, that's right.
That said, you really think it'd be possible to start funneling the information from Silverbreak the other direction? If they don't know that we've found her out, she could keep sending falsehoods to them.
That's kind of what I was thinking.
I hadn't thought of that at all. That would be. I like look at Bina. That would be a huge advantage if she were willing to help us like that.
And I mean, that would help her out too. I mean, if they don't find out that she's been caught, then she's still paying off her debt.
But do they? Let's see. Do I? I don't know if I've. What? How are they enforcing her debt here? What do they have over her?
They have her sister.
We get her sister back.
I mean, that's what I thought too, but she doesn't seem like there's any way to help her. She doesn't feel like there's anything we could do to help.
Well,
I mean, we don't know Abriel. I mean, everything that she's told us has been a fabrication or, you know, a personality that she wants us to see. So we have no idea knowing if she's what kind of person she is. I mean, I'd love to think that she is, you know, is doing all of this out of desperation and love for her sister, but we don't know her. I mean, I think we have to remember that, I mean, we all could have died today, you know, yesterday because of her. Not saying
she could have died in a lot of other ways too.
Not saying she doesn't deserve another chance. I'm just saying that we just have to be very, very careful with her.
Yeah, I think that having somebody on board the ship that was willing to turn us into our enemy's hands is going to wear on us real quick. It's going to make it hard to sleep. It's going to breed more suspicion and I don't know. I think pretty quick, either we got to know for certain that she's with us or get rid of her. If not leaving her here, finding a safe place to set her down or something.
I think given the circumstance... Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Circumstances. I think given the circumstances, there's still good in her. And I want to believe that this can be turned around. I can believe it because I got a little, you know, insight as I do. You know, it's kind of has been my job in the past. I've got a good feeling about her. We did spend I was up in the observation deck and I was doing some investigation. I was doing my thing, you know. We got to talking for quite a long time, actually. I personally vouch for her at this point.
She helps people. That's not something you can fake. It's like it's part of her. It's what she chose to do. I don't believe that she's being bad on purpose or whatever.
Mason and I were looking through her files. I mean, she knew Silverbreak was sitting the warp. She knew that they were responsible for that, and she was just watching. I mean, I think that
What could one person do? It's the same situation. They have everything over her, and she has nothing to retaliate with.
At this point, Bina, you feel sort of like it's more like you're becoming aware of a growing feeling of frustration and disbelief. As you glance over and you see that Sedona is just sort of watching Jade, who is just sort of staring into his cup.
Okay, fun. So then, yeah, well, I'm gonna kind of like also like eyes slide over to Jade.
Mm-hmm.
What do you know?
He looks up. He kind of looks around, kind of makes eye contact with all of you, and then just...
You have a say too.
Maybe she helps people, and maybe she doesn't. But, and we don't really have any... We don't know anything. We don't know, and we don't know for sure, and we don't have any control over what she does. But I thought we helped people.
Bina points at Jade with two arms.
Yeah.
Yep, that's the other piece of this. We help people. It's a big piece.
What if?
We got.
Oops, you go.
Well, we got a different. We had a second chance. There was every possibility that we would not have woken up from those pods, accelerating at a planet. That's something to keep in mind.
Jade shrugs and says, any of us could have been her. And he kind of glances over at Sedona, who just sort of looks at him, sort of smiles a little bit, and then looks away, and he says, maybe she'd turn on us if we helped her anyway, but...
That says more about her than it does about us.
And I think she deserves the chance to choose.
Right, there's a chance that she might not even want to be with us. I don't know. I haven't talked to her.
I mean, I can't imagine she's loyal to Silverbreak by choice.
Not with that kind of leverage.
Okay, hear me out. What if we talk to her? I talked to her a little bit, so I think she kind of knows where I'm at. We'll see. What if we come up with some sort of system, like you said, where she can continue paying her debt to Silverbreak, or at least from their perspective, if she so chooses. Again, if she wants to be dropped somewhere, we can drop her. I already offered that to her. She seemed very ambiguous on the idea of having choice, so we'll work that out in the future. We give... She gets limited access to systems. Communication offline. She can only use it when the rest of us are present to send whatever data packet at whatever interval she deems would be normal for this. We can feed them false information. She continues to maybe help her sister, and we can work on that as like a subplot. She would have, I guess, probably limited access to the ship while we try to suss out whether or not she's being genuine. But we could help her, and she could help us, and maybe we can move forward from there.
I think We should at least give her the choice
Mhm.
and see what she chooses.
Yeah. We better hope it's the right choice to offer help to her, or else she's going to be the last person we can help before we end up in a silver break cell or worse.
We got a second chance. She deserves one too.
Yeah.
Jade kind of looks around the table. He says, I'm going to make more hot chocolate.
I pass my cup back to him.
And that is where we're going to go on our break.
Oh,
What?
oh gosh.
Ooh, I love it.
All right. So we're gonna take a second. We're gonna get some water, go to the bathroom, walk around, shake, all that. And we will be right back in about 10 minutes. So don't go anywhere. See you soon.
See you soon.
And we are back. Sorry, I just had a complete and utter brain blank there for a second, but we're back. Welcome back from break, and where we left off, the crew was discussing the fate of Abriel now that she has been revealed as a Silverbreak spy, or at least on some level. So jumping right back in. So the next few minutes proceed either in silence or with small talk, just as hot chocolate gets passed around, and you all just sort of just talking about the day-to-day kinds of stuff for a bit. Eventually, Jade looks up in sort of a lull in conversation. He turns to all of you and says, "So, is the plan to talk to her about our plan?
Mhm.
Should we all go, or just some of us, or?"
We can all go.
I think we all should go, yeah. For
United
this.
front.
Dinner time in the med bay.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, do we want to go now, or?
No time like the present.
Yeah, let's get it over with and see if we can get off this beautiful, icy rock.
Yeah.
It is beautiful, isn't it?
In a weird way, yeah, it is, isn't it? Like,
As you're all like
It's
gathering up
all
your
going
stuff.
out,
yeah. It's still,
It's a really good cup of noodle.
Jade pours another cup of hot chocolate and just says, "Okay."
As we walk over there, I want to like fall in line with Sedona
Mhm.
and just kind of like give her like significant eye contact, like,
Mhm.
like we okay? Like,
She just sort of looks at you, and just shrugs.
fair. And then, and then Bina will walk forward.
All right. You all make your way over to the med bay, where you can see Patch is still seated where they were, exactly where they were and have been this whole time, just sort of in the corner, kind of right to the right of the main door, just watching Abriel, who has moved from just sitting on the edge of her cot to laying on it, staring up, her hands behind her head with one leg just sort of off the cot, as she's just sort of staring at the ceiling. The door opens as you make your way. You all kind of file inside. Patch turns and stands and says, "I trust a verdict was reached?"
No, actually.
Sounds so ominous that way.
Abriel just sort of as you walk up, she just and pulls herself up and sits on the edge of the cot and just looks up at all of you.
Bina's just gonna sit down, like either on a chair or like straight on the floor if that's all that's nearby. We don't need to tower over her. Not that Bina has that much height, but yeah, Bina's gonna sit down.
Are Abriana like the same height? Or is she taller?
She's probably about the same height, maybe just a little bit shorter.
Okay. We didn't discuss who was gonna like pitch this, right? Because I was just gonna start doing it if no one else.
Yeah, you can take it if you want. Go for it.
Okay. So we wanted to kind of talk through an opportunity with you.
Well said.
Well, you quite literally have a captive audience, so
Good one. So, I mean, at this point, a lot of your cards are on the table, and you kind of know quite a lot about all of us. We don't know a ton about you. What we do know is that you have an in with Silverbreak, and they have something over you. If we could come to a solution where you are still getting what you want, you're still paying off your debt to Silverbreak, and you're not giving them a ton of accurate and helpful information about us, perhaps we could maybe
Help each other?
Help each other. Look, I'm not ready at this point to trust you or forgive you for what you've done to all of us and what you could still be wanting to do, but I think you're scared. You're backed in a corner and you're scared and you need help. And you might have noticed we kind of like to help people, so we're not just going to leave you here on this planet. We're giving you a choice. You said you don't have a choice. You do have one.
You can help us out, or you can give us a location and we'll drop you off.
Wait. What is it exactly that you're proposing here?
You know that thing you said was impossible that you wanted?
What about it?
Might be possible.
We're pretty good at impossible.
We are very good at impossible.
I'm gonna kind of glance over to Bina, kind of like a, what's your read right now?
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
Yeah, what am I feeling from her?
Full on, unfiltered disbelief.
Yeah, okay, I got that.
Yeah.
Yep.
She is just sort of
in like in a positive way or in like a rage way, like fuck off for even insinuating, or like disbelief in like a oh shit surprise, full surprise.
There's not really.
I can't tell.
Mm-mm.
Just disbelief.
Yeah.
Got it.
She just says, Are you actually suggesting that you would break into a highly secured Silverbreak detention facility for somebody that you don't even know? In fact, for somebody, not only somebody you don't even know, but also somebody who actively worked against you, who betrayed you?
If the opportunity arose.
Definitely on our list.
We've done weirder things.
I think in the short run, we were thinking, I mean, Silverbreak expects data packages, and if we're there helping craft them, that wouldn't be bad, and then maybe we could save
We help you stay on their good side. Maybe that helps out your sister in the long run.
As she's sort of sitting there, you see Jade just take a couple of steps forward, and as she like looks up and looks at him, and he stops for a moment, like there's hesitation, and then he keeps stepping forward and just sort of takes the hot chocolate and just sort of hands it to her. As she she takes it and looks at it, just I'll admit this is not how I expected this conversation to go. She sort of takes a sip. Mostly because it's probably one of the stupidest things I've ever heard.
Yeah, but like you've met us. Again, we've done stupider.
Sometimes the stupidest plans turn out to be the most brilliant in the end.
You've all done a lot of stupid things while I've been with you, but I promise you, this would be the crowning achievement on that list.
Why do you think?
I've seen where they keep her. They
That's very helpful.
They explicitly they made a show of walking me through so that I could see exactly how impossible this is.
Maybe alone. But you have people in your corner now. Maybe. Hypothetically, again.
And if it's such a serious detention center, there might be other people imprisoned nearby of high value to Silverbreak, which might make them potential great allies for us, or at least people who deserve to be out. You know, a bunch of
Enemy of my enemy is my friend.
right.
Yeah.
Sometimes the enemy of your enemy is still your enemy.
That's fair. That's just a perhaps. We'll back burner that one, but it's still a true statement.
Look, even if I agreed to this, what makes you think I want your help?
That's why we're asking. You don't have to accept our help.
What's to stop me from turning on you again?
A way out.
Do you think this is...
What's the whirlwind of emotions that just happened right there?
No, I feel like I watched like a
Are we still on full-on disbelief?
Not entirely. There's a part of her mind that has sort of kicked in that you can sort of feel. That's mostly because you've felt it before, and it's sort of the analytical part of her mind that has started like
Just thinking.
Yeah. She says, okay, hold on. I'm not agreeing to anything.
Hypothetically.
If this was something that we did, what happens to us afterwards?
You and your sister?
Whatever you want.
We don't make people repay debts here.
If you choose to be a member of our crew, then you're a member of our crew, and we've seen thus far we've got to look out for each other, so that's all it is.
She kind of still holding the cup of hot chocolate, just sort of stares into it for a bit. She says, "What would you want me to do?"
The data packets. Whatever you've been sending them, we'll work with you to craft some half-truths.
Something to put them off our scent.
Some things maybe they already expect, ways maybe things you've already predicted to them, things they already know, where there's information, but it's padding. In whatever intervals you would normally contact them, perhaps.
What do they ask of you? What do they want you to send them?
As much information I could as I could as to the development of your abilities, any potential side effects, anything that
we could have fun with that.
Anything that could help them perfect the process. And
so I guess one thing to keep in mind is that what you tell them will affect other people. So we can't fuck anything up fully, but that's good to know.
It's worth pointing out that I was done.
Oh.
I sent them what I needed to send them, and the only reason I signaled them to your location was for extraction. They were ready. They pulled the plug on the operation. They were ready to come pick you up. They needed to study you outside of their testing facilities. They saw your escape as an opportunity. It's how Ellis thinks. He's very quick to take any setback, and he's quick to turn it around to his advantage.
Is there any way we could make them think they still need you?
There is one thing. They didn't tell me much, but in fact they explicitly tried not to say anything about it, but I could tell they were very interested in the ship.
Yeah.
Not just in the ship, but she kind of glances over to like where Alma is still laying asleep. I don't know why, but they never asked me any questions about her. They never asked for updates. They never asked for a report. And that tells me that she's very important to them.
I mean, they sent a bounty hunter after her.
Yeah.
Who, by the way, still might be on. We might be on his radar. That's something we should discuss at some point. But
yeah, I've seen a little bit of what they do with people like you, and the process, and some of the. Never seen anything like that. Well, I guess since all the cards are coming out on the table, the reason they knew that you were there was because I told them. I told them about the ship. The ship was there. That's why they sent him.
good to know.
Let's.
So,
Don't.
so, um, if you tell them truthfully that you're still with us after we escaped their grasp that time, then maybe you can feed them information that'll lead them on a wild goose chase in search of this ship. Meanwhile, I don't know if it's possible gaining anything you can from them, and in the meantime, we'll prepare in what ways we can to get your sister back.
What did you have to do? What was the debt assigned to your sister?
Hers was mostly medical debt. When she.
What did you have to do? What was the?
My original assignment was to study the effects of the artifact unshielded on the populace.
To what end?
To see if there was some way of turning it to our advantage.
What about the debt? What was the cap? Was there a timeline? Number of hours logged?
I was supposed to find some way of controlling what those people became.
Whew. What did you learn about the artifact?
Not much. They kept it well hidden from me. I was only allowed to see it once in person. Most of my studies were focused on the populace, so there wasn't much that I could... I had no reason to see it other than to know what I was working with. They let me in for about 10 minutes to take detailed notes, and then they told me that was it. That was all I was going to get to see. So... I don't know much about it, to be honest. I know that it's not the only one they've found. I know that Ellis is obsessed with them.
Who is this Ellis you keep?
He's the one who yelled at us from that big old ship, didn't he? From when we were escaping Eos.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I didn't have that name written down. I was like, who is he?
Yeah.
He's the CEO of Silverbreak.
I thought that was Damien.
Damien Ellis.
Last name Ellis.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I only had the name Damien written down.
Yeah. Okay. He's dangerous, Ellis. A lot more so than just... It's not just because of the power that he has at his command. It's... I met him in person when they first brought me up from my original posting for this job. And he seemed nice enough. And then he told me what would happen to my sister if I failed. And he did the whole thing with a smile on his face. Not like he was enjoying it. Worse. Like it didn't mean anything to him at all. He's not someone you want to be on the wrong side of. And unfortunately...
Well, that ship has sailed.
Too late for that one.
Yeah, we're in that ship.
We are in that ship.
Nothing changes for me. I've always been on the wrong side of people.
Well, I think you're pretty cool, Mason.
Hey, thank you. I just mean in terms of my past employment.
Okay. I'll do it.
Is she being honest?
Yeah, so I was gonna.
Can I spend for like a motive?
Yeah.
To like dip into deeper than a
Yeah, you can do an insight spend.
cool. What is that?
It's just a 3 intellect spend.
Does Edge eat that?
Yep.
Okay, cool.
She is skeptical of this whole thing,
Yes.
but she is telling the truth about her position at this point. As for her position on your plan. She says, "I even know how to do it."
Love to hear that.
She points over to where you can see Alma still laying down. She says,
Ooh, okay. Maybe love to hear it less.
"I'll just tell them the truth. Tell them that she's out, and it's a bit of a gamble because they haven't actually told me anything, but I'm willing to bet that information about her."
That'll sell.
Yeah.
You'll need something as to why you weren't found out. I mean, I think this is going to be a lot of half-truths. So you could tell them that there was a stowaway that was recently discovered who took the fall for it.
That's actually exactly what I was thinking. She kind of glances at Sedona.
Sorry, Sedona.
She kind of glances at Sedona, who sort of takes a barely perceptible sort of step back and behind Jade. And Sedona kind of looks at you, Bina, and nods. She says, "Makes sense."
I kind of look down for a sec and then back up.
Can't get read on Sedona. How's she feeling right now?
Nervous.
Yeah.
But you get the
Or
sense
more than the average level.
Yeah, you get the sense
based.
Yeah, you get the sense it's not for her that she's nervous. Yeah.
She's also a grab bag of emotions. That's
Yeah.
fun to tune into.
Yeah. Abriel just says, "Tell him that the stowaway was caught and they assumed she was a Silverbreak spy. It's not entirely untrue. Events match up at least relatively closely, and I didn't mention her in any of my reports, so..."
Mm-hmm. Think they'll buy it?
Not sure.
Well, I mean, if you give them information that would catch their attention, then
Oh,
at
definitely.
least they'd want to listen.
They might not believe me, but I think even if they don't fully believe me, the promise of information about her might be enough to cause them to waive caution.
Gabriel, you seem to know a lot about power, enough about powers to be monitoring us. Have you done that in the past? What was your original
No.
posting?
My original posting, with Silverbreak anyway, was just sort of a colony med tech. I signed on to different colonies. It's why it made it easy for me to fill my actual role, because it was the cover was what I'd been doing already. No, I only know what I know because they gave me a dossier on heavily redacted files on things that they were working on, but it gave me enough background in what they were doing to understand for my purposes. It's why when I met you, I knew that it was another chance to succeed where I'd failed with the warped before.
Is there a chance that whatever information you give them here would be enough to forgive your sister's debt?
Maybe. But chances are any follow through on my part with Silverbreak is going to result it's all going to end the same way. It's going to end with her in a box. It's being studied day and night. Probably the rest of you too. Maybe worse.
So the
Plus,
stakes are the same on our end.
plus some part of me sort of never actually believed they would give up that leverage if I was as useful to them as they said.
Then I think it's time to tip the scales.
It's the only reason I'm considering this, by the way.
I know.
Because I don't think that you'll succeed. But I know that if you do, you're more likely to follow through than they are. So take that for whatever it's worth.
Like we said, it's a way out. I think it's the best way out of this situation for any of us, no matter how small the chances.
If it matters, I didn't tell them about Wire and any of that.
How about the xenoarchaeologist?
Wasn't relevant to what I was doing.
Good. All right.
So the next question is, do we fill Wire in with another very risky thing that we're doing?
Ooh.
Or do we just proceed?
Well, with the rescue, you mean?
Yeah, just keep doing what we're doing while still working on, gonna go talk to our contact, while also have this plan brewing. I feel like we should tell her. Bina says, not Caitlin.
Might as well tell her. The worst she can do is get worked up about it and not stop us at this point.
Well, I mean, at some point we could push her and she could cut us off. I'm throwing that out there. That is something that could happen. But
Yeah, that's true.
honesty is
I don't know,
the best
I mean,
policy.
We're some of her only allies at this point. I don't know if she would, that we know of, but I don't know if she'd cut us off.
I mean, we piss her off enough. I bet that's a button we could push. Not saying we should, but I bet it exists. There will be a tipping point, and I
haven't
would
found
not
it
like
yet.
to be. Oh yeah, exactly. But I think we could tell her. I think it would be a good thing for her to be aware of.
Jade speaks up and says, she might even be able to help us.
That's true.
I
I
mean,
think we might need her help, honestly.
More helpers, the better.
She orchestrated an entire rescue of, well, people like you, and it kind of worked, and there wasn't even anybody on the ship at the time. So, I mean, that's pretty impressive.
If Abriel can tell Wire what she knows about her sister's location,
Oh.
Wire may be able, if not willing, to give us a helping hand in that direction.
Not a bad idea.
Yeah. I mean, she broke Zaya out, didn't she?
Yeah.
Where's Zaya? We should get in contact with Zaya again. I miss her. Get her in on this.
I think
Swap
she
out.
would like.
Zaya wouldn't have betrayed us.
Zaya also couldn't probably patch us up, so
Yeah, you're right.
win some, you lose some.
Yeah, you don't want to have Peach be the one sewing you guys up. She would do a 2 out of 10 job.
Wait a sec, this is crochet. Ooh, no offense, Peach.
Is it Nano Joe?
She has very basic training.
Oh, I love it.
Um,
Okay. So yes, we tell Wire at some point. Probably soon, before we move on to the next contact.
Abriel nods and says, well, then I better start doing some tests. I'm going to have to send them something.
half-truths. Maybe be confused about more that I don't know. I mean, you're a very competent medical professional, but seem confused about it a little and say you can learn more? Half-truths?
She just sort of smirks and says, I know how to play dumb.
Good to know.
It's a survival skill in the medical field when you're dealing with a bunch of pompous assholes.
Sounds like you're suited for the job then.
She stands up and starts walking over to Alma. As she stands up, Patch stands up with her. Like, they stand up simultaneously as she looks over at Patch. They stop and stare at each other for a moment, and Patch just says, proceed. She turns.
God, I love
And
Yeah, see, I think we're not going to ask them to do that from now on, but they're free to do so if they choose.
Abriel starts checking Alma's vitals as she starts going through, looking up at a screen, and without looking over at any of you, she says, well, had to find the limit of stupid sometime.
Limit does not yet exist.
Jade kind of leans in as you start kind of turning away. Jade leans in and he says, I think that's her way of saying thank you.
I think so too.
Will we be on this rock for much longer, you think? I'm not saying we should rush. The ship, depending on the ship, where the ship's at.
We can go. We just are gonna have to factor in a bit of an overhaul in some parts of the ship, but we can fly.
All right, good.
Right, GM? We can fly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah. Jade says, some of the ship systems might be a little bit quirky for a little while, but
Well, they did just lose a little bit of an influence, so
yeah.
that'll be new.
Yeah. Mostly things like water temperature regulation and
Mind your showers.
yeah. You see as Jade reaches up and just sort of unconsciously just sort of rubs one of his shoulders, and he just says, yeah, it's prone to rapid and extreme temperature changes sometimes.
Oof.
Noteworthy.
Abriel turns at that and says, you have something you want to tell me? He goes, should I stay here? She says, sit down.
Oh.
Jade gives you all kind of like sort of a pathetic look as he like turns and goes back to sit down on the examination bench.
I just give him like as I'm like starting to back out the room.
Yeah, forearm shrug. We're gonna.
Yeah.
Well, if we have a moment, I'm going to step outside for a bit, I think.
I think
Unless we
I'm
wanna
gonna. Oh, sorry.
launch.
I was just gonna linger to talk to Abriel for 1 second.
I will pop out then.
Yeah. Seeing as that you're staying there, Peach, you hear sort of like clanking footsteps kind of coming up behind you as you turn, and you see Patch just sort of standing next to you, just saying, if you don't mind, I would like to take a short hiatus from my watch.
Yeah, you're totally good. Thanks for being such a keen eye.
You're welcome. And they turn and exit as well.
Oh, that's so cute. Okay. Okay. Yeah, as Abriel is kind of, running tests or whatever, I'm just gonna turn to her. Abriel, I think I am one of the only people who might kind of understand your circumstance in this moment. I have no idea where my brother is. Silverbreak could have him. Anybody could have him. He could be dead. you don't know any of this, but he went missing just like we did. He could be in a cell right next to your sister. All right? And I don't know where he is, but I can help her, and I think that's... Let's just say it'll make me feel a little bit better.
She at no point has taken her eyes off of the display as you've been talking.
Mm-hmm.
And then she just sort of sets the pad down, looks at you, glances over at Jade, who is just sort of absently plucking at his garments.
Yeah, I didn't mind that he was there.
And she turns back to you and she just says, I'll be honest with you. I don't do well with this kind of stuff. The whole telling people things, real things.
You don't have to.
I don't know. I don't know that we'll have a chance to succeed at any of this. What I do know is that I would do and have done anything that I can for my sister. And if you're anything like me in that way, then that's the first thing that any one of you has said that makes me think that maybe this was a good idea.
Well, what can I say? We're full of good ideas, Abriel.
Yeah, I've seen them. I'm still treating some of them.
I guess I mostly just wanted you to know that you're not alone.
We're all alone. And she just turns back to Jade and she says, "Come on, let's take a look."
Okay, I'm gonna step out at this point. Give her some space. I've poked the dragon enough, I think.
So, at this particular...
Question.
Yes.
Do I know, is it possible, is there a way, and I'm not going to have Alma's help now because she would maybe have more insight into this, a way to restrict a specific individual's ability to send and communicate off the ship? Like, do we have, like, logins that you have to use or, like, whatever? Is that possible?
You probably didn't have them, but you can certainly put them in place.
Implement them now.
Easily, yeah.
That logistical issue is close to the front of Olam's mind, too.
Honestly,
so
we can work on that.
It honestly wouldn't surprise me if Olam had already started working on it.
Mm-hmm.
That's I just whatever, and I'll talk to Bina about it too. Whatever it takes to make the best security that prevents Abriel from sending any external communication.
And honestly, any other instances in which that could be the case, whether it's someone on our crew or someone who gets on the ship without our knowing, like,
right.
Just good security protocol. All of our passwords had been set to password prior to this, and now we gotta step up our security game.
Temporary password. Yeah, you gotta...
Red 1 star. You cannot. This is bad. We gotta get it up to the green 5 stars. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Capital and a number and at least 2 symbols.
You have to reset it every week.
35 characters at least.
Dual authentication.
DNA tests. Let's go.
So we'll just say, Mason, you're standing outside, right? That's
I was gonna go out and get some fresh air.
Okay. So as you're standing out there, You standing just sort of at the bottom of the loading ramp, um, just sort of breathing in the uh, very, very crisp, cold air of this world's polar region, which is kind of where you set down, and it's maybe just a tad oxygen rich, but every once in a while you start to get a little bit of like a sort of heady sensation. Um, but as you're standing there, you just sort of taking in what has become a very cold uh, evening, lit brightly by the massive moon that is dominating the sky. You hear the sound of clanking footsteps making their way down the ramp. As you turn, just sort of looking over your shoulder, you see Patch making their way down towards you. As they turn to you, just sort of standing there, they turn to you and then turn and look back up, out at the sky and over the tundra ahead of you. As the two of you are standing there, eventually Patch just says, "It has been some time since I have touched down on a planet. I wanted to get a chance to see it before we left."
Yeah, I feel the same in a way. How are you feeling?
Content. The resolution of the saboteur situation it has put me at ease.
You said it was kind of like over oxygen.
Yeah, just a little bit.
I'm gonna double down. I'm gonna pull out a cigarette.
Yeah.
Gotta get Mason some cigars.
Patch turns to you and nods and just says, "I'm curious about you. Not you specifically, but humans."
Yeah. Okay.
Humans are certainly a curiosity. You are strangers to this galaxy, relatively speaking.
Yeah. Huh. I know I am a human, but I share curiosity as well. I don't really understand humans sometimes.
You were not raised primarily amongst your own?
I was raised with yeah, not really. A lot of Keldro.
Yes.
Had quite a few friends. We get in all kinds of trouble.
The origin of humanity fascinates me, my people as well. You are an anomaly. You are not from here, and yet you arrived and found your place amongst the other species.
Well, I can't speak for all humans, but I've always been able to adapt to stressful, rigorous situations. It's why I do what I do. It's why I'm still here, probably.
Yes. The ability.
Sometimes you can only take so much, you know.
I have seen many crack under variety of pressures. The next time that we stop somewhere where there are many people, I think I might like to go and see some of it. Other than where you found me, I have avoided large groups of organics, but mostly out of fear for my own safety. But perhaps in the company of other organics, things might be different. I find that my capacity to understand organic species is limited when I have limited contact.
I'm happy to give you a couple pointers.
Yes.
Just, I know the way we found you, I feel like maybe I could give you a couple pointers on how to do a very brief, basic threat analysis of a situation, so you don't get yourself in a sticky situation like that.
That would be advantageous.
Advantageous indeed. You're lucky you don't have to do this.
To my understanding, neither do you.
All right, well, no need to be a smartass. Hey, I like you, Patch.
They turn and they look at you. See, I believe the feeling is mutual. I don't think I've liked any organic before.
Yeah. That's something you and I have in common. I'm greatly mistrustful, mostly, I think. But that's always been my job.
Curious. Organics seem to share the same. If organics share the same mistrust for each other that they do for synthetics, then perhaps my people are right in believing that there is no hope in there ever being a bridge to that gap.
I really don't know.
This has been enlightening. And without another word, they just turn and just start walking back up the boarding ramp.
Just another day.
Every time they interact, it's the best thing that's ever happened to me.
Oh my gosh.
I love it so much.
I love Mason.
Mason has an intern. Jade is Bina's in. When are Olam and I going to get interns?
I'm your intern.
So
I'll give you college credit.
Thank you. That's all I live for.
Yeah.
all right. We'll cut a bit ahead if that's all right with all of you.
Yeah.
Yes.
To
Do we have the funds to replace the couplings? Is that like
yeah.
we got like a bunch of? Did we spend all? We didn't spend all of it.
Probably not.
Okay.
You got pretty close, but you have. I think you'd have enough. Just most of that was in like supplies and in like some of the more expensive parts.
Yeah, I think I did a bigger overhaul, didn't I? Like there were systems that never fully got repaired
Yeah.
after our fight
Yeah,
on
yeah,
Eos.
yeah. So this is much more minor expense, but we will cut to um a little bit ahead as you are fully en route um to the location where Wire told you you might find this professor. Um, it's probably, I'd say by this point you probably have just a couple of hours before you arrive.
Is there a system name or a planet or a celestial body involved in the name of this that I could put a name
is
to?
why I'm looking at my notes.
Oh, sorry. Then I'm stalling for time. I'm asking you the question that you definitely need the answer to the whole time.
Yeah, that. Oh, jeez. You would think that I would organize any of this.
There's a lot. There's
Yeah.
a lot of you guys. You have no idea how many docks are full of world building stuff.
Yeah. This world is known as this would be Derilia 3. It is the third planet in a 8 world system in the border worlds. Most of the other worlds are uninhabited, with the exception of the 5th world in the system, which houses a sort of a notorious. The best way of putting it is an outlaw's den. It's really much more of like a shady trading outpost, but it carries with it some reputation of being a haven for pirates, for smugglers, for just really what some might refer to as the dregs of society.
Ne'er-do-wells.
Yes. I'm doing my absolute best not to just say a wretched hive of scum and villainy, but
I was picturing Java's palace. Yeah.
but that's effectively what it is. Derilia 3, on the other hand, is basically home to a series of frontier colonies, essentially. Small. Actually, it's probably not even correct to call them colonies. By this point, they're not buildings that are. I mean, they're not. They're basically towns at this point. They've been around long enough and have been built on long enough that they are no longer made of the prefab shelters that are that come with your standard colony package. But by this point, most of the people who live on Derilia 3 are just full-on residents of the world. It was one of the last worlds terraformed prior to the border worlds declaring independence. And as such, it is pretty bare bones as far as what there is in terms of flora and fauna. It is not easy living, but it is somehow the residents have found a way.
Was it the Anzalonians that terraformed it?
Yes.
That's their shtick. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Kinda. Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
And they're not the only ones who do it, but
Right.
But yes, in this case, it was the Anzalonians. So, you make your way towards the world, and as you're arriving, you can see Bina looking at your instruments, it looks like you're probably an hour or so from dropping out of FTL. As you begin preparing for your arrival.
I will inform the residents of this vessel that is the case.
All right.
Are the couplings holding up? If
Yeah.
I check them, or they're doing okay?
They're
All right.
holding up. They're now that you have Jade sort of at one point tinkered with the damaged one, with the sabotaged one, and got it to come back online. It's not something you want to rely on for the long term, but yeah.
Okay.
But
it'll hold enough.
It'll hold enough. Yeah. And during the course of this journey, Jade has been obsessively checking it, just to make sure. So, like, to the point where it's starting to become just the slightest bit irritating. How every time he sends like a status update, and it is the same status update every time.
And that's saying a lot if it's annoying.
Yeah.
Bina, Miss Over the Top Extraordinaire.
Yeah. But at this point, you see a ping on your communicator.
Oh.
As you pull it up, you hear Abriel's voice. It says, "She's awake and asking for you."
Immediately.
Mm-hmm.
Full tilt run to medbay.
All right.
I like see her run and make sure to like pull up the controls in this place I'm sitting in. Yeah.
Yeah.
Luckily, FTL kind of just does its thing until there's a problem. But yeah, no, she fully does not. She's just gone.
You make your way to medbay, and as you arrive, the door opens and you see Abriel standing over Alma, who like seemingly conversing with her. As she glances up and seeing you, nods to you as you see Alma's head turn kind of in your direction as you enter, and she smiles at you. And Abriel just says, she looks over, says, "I'll be over there," and just sort of steps over to where the cot is, and bringing the pad with her, and starts kind of looking it over. Hi.
I'll like go over there. I want to stand 10 feet away in the doorway.
Yeah. She says,
"You can be mad. It's okay. I know I said you couldn't be mad about it, but you can definitely be mad about it if you're mad about it."
No, I'm not mad. I understand why you didn't tell me, and I think it was probably a good idea. I didn't really need that. I didn't really need that to think about while I was
doing something incredibly risky. Yeah.
Yeah. I still don't remember much beyond just what I told you waking up when I did. I just thought maybe you'd expect me to know things that from before.
Oh. Anything?
Nothing other than what I experienced after waking up, so to speak.
Well, it's nice to meet you then.
Yeah. It's weird. I remember all of those moments, all the conversations, and being in the ship, and I remember it all, but it's like it's like I'm remembering it as somebody else.
Huh.
Or like from a dream or something. But very clear. I don't know, it's hard to explain.
Does she like emotionally? Does she like feel the same? Like, does this like?
Yeah, she feels familiar, for sure.
Weird.
Mhm.
Okay, sorry. This is
Definitely.
just cool.
Yeah. She says, I don't know. I feel. She kind of glances over at Abriel, who's still not looking up and is still looking over at the pad as she leans into you, and she just says, I feel like myself, but there's something else.
Something gooey and organic on the inside.
No, I mean, I feel I can still feel the ship.
Oh, really? Is that a good thing or a bad thing? Maybe neutral? Might be the
I don't
best thing to
know.
hope for?
I don't know.
Oh, cool. Like, I guess if you were on that Silverbrick ship with us, it would be ridiculous to not assume that something funky's going on with you, too.
You think I'm like you?
I mean, I feel like it makes more sense to think that than anything else. I've been wrong before, many times in my life, but that might be a safe jumping off point.
It would explain why they didn't keep me with the rest of you too. If my my thing is this.
Yeah.
Huh.
Huh.
None of that is what I actually just wanted to say thank you for trusting me and for letting me do what I did.
Yeah, that was not gonna lie. If Orzai could go gray, geez, y'all put me through the ringer the past 48 hours. I'm not gonna lie. But you know the ship better than anyone, so. And if I'm gonna trust anyone with a ridiculous, dangerous idea of how to get us out, it would be you.
You can see as she sort of, her hand just sort of, can I, sorry.
Yeah.
She,
I'm gonna reach out.
Yeah.
I'll reach out to her.
And she reaches out and very like gently just sort of grabs your hand, as you've done many times before in the cockpit, but now feeling flesh and blood.
I grab her like her forearm with like all four,
Mhm.
like all four hands.
Yeah. She just sort of looks up at you and smiles and says, "It's a lot better than with through a hard light projection."
Yeah, you're very squishy. I'm just gonna kind of like poke her like in the cheek.
She just sort of turns her face away,
Same.
and she just sort of
That's the sound it makes when I poke her.
She leans back a bit in the on the bed and just which is basically like pulled up at this point to sort of like a half sitting position. And she says, "Well, I'm glad that she has you at her controls."
We'll get you back up there as soon as you're feeling better.
Oh, I didn't even think about that. I could actually physically be at the helm, or
Thanks for the raid.
what? Oh, Dank Dungeon Elves, thank you so much for the raid. welcome. She just sort of frowns and says, "It's a lot to take in. I mean, after feeling everything through the ships, it's yeah, it's gonna be a lot of getting used to, I think."
Yeah, I have a feeling you might need a little bit of rest. I know you've been sleeping for a while, but
Yeah.
I feel like that's not something you really walk off.
No, not at all. Anyway, I just wanted to say thank you. That's it.
Of course.
Not that I remember being this way before, but I'm glad to be back.
Happy to have you. And then before Bina's gonna kind of be like, okay, I'll let you sleep. And then she kind of like turns and she's gonna like immediately turn back and be like, what am I doing? And then she's gonna give her a big hug.
Yeah,
like,
and she.
as if I'm gonna leave without hugging
Yeah, and
her.
she hugs back, sort of weakly, but yeah.
Yeah, it's like a gentle, like she's laying down, she's supine, so it's like an awkward, like, yeah, I'm gonna hug her, gentle pats, and then she's like, okay, go to sleep, goodbye, and she's gonna like turn on Dylan and leave the bed bay.
All right. Well, we're gonna go ahead and cut to our last scene for the evening. Thank you everybody so much for the follows. I appreciate it very much.
Awesome.
And welcome.
Welcome.
So, we're gonna cut to sort of our last scene for this evening as Awakener lands on Derilia 3, just on the outskirts of one of the towns. You can feel her settling as she often does, with that sort of slight touchdown bump and then a slightly more pronounced jolt as she settles fully. You can hear as the engines around you winding down as the ship systems start running into sort of idle. As you all touch down, and Jade.
Welcome to Deliria 3.
Jade puts a foot up on, kind of like resting it up on one of the consoles as he looks out. He says, "Okay, well, I'll make sure to keep an eye on everything, so
Okay.
we're ready to go if we need to. Anything in particular you want me to do while you're gone, or?"
Whatever you think needs to be done, I guess.
Okay, I think it's probably a good idea to explore more of the innards of the ship. Maybe I can get Sedona to help me. And
yeah, she's got at least a little bit of the lay of the land at this point.
Yeah.
How long was she down there? How was it like? Was it like 2 weeks?
It was pretty it was close to. It was pushing a month. It was.
Oh shit! That's right. Oh god,
yeah,
it's been a while since we've been to Sulan.
It was pushing a month that she was hiding down there in the.
Okay, yeah,
in the
she
maintenance
definitely
corridors.
can head that mission. That is fine by me.
He nods.
She knows the guts of this ship better than literally anyone.
Yeah, I actually just found out yesterday that she'd been using some of the access hatches to sneak around the ship. So it's how she got food. So
yeah. I mean, that makes sense.
yeah. Anyway,
Oof.
so yeah,
Well,
I think I'm gonna have her take
If she's
me
up
down
for
there.
it.
Yeah. All right. Well, good luck.
Let's go meet a professor.
You meet up with everybody else. So I assume all 4 of you are going. Are you taking anybody else with you?
Does anyone want to come?
Actually,
Is that...
come to think of it, really the only person who could go with you is Patch, and I don't think that Patch would leave Abriel unattended. So
Yeah, that's
Fair,
what I was
okay.
Oh yeah, I was like, who else would we like?
Yeah.
Gabriel's not coming. Like,
yeah.
All right, then yeah, just us.
Olam shows up to the hold wearing, like, suited up with his what is now a weird mix of like his like flowing cardigan, his like comfortable pants that look of a longtime academic with like a tool belt and a few pieces of tactical gear added on, and his like tinkered glasses.
Oh, I love this.
Space punk.
Adjusting his belt.
Mm-hmm. Ugh.
All right.
Patch.
Yes.
Well, if you want to go out, I can take watch. And you can go out, and I'll take this one.
They turn and look kind of towards where Abriel is, like just sort of leaning on the door of the med bay, watching all of you. And Patch turns back to you and says, "I believe we are developing a rapport."
Rapport.
Oh, buddy, I love you so much.
Says, "That was a joke.
Oh, got it.
I don't mind staying and watching."
Oh, all right. Okay.
They're perfect in every way. I love them so much.
Patch turns and moves back towards medbay, and as they turn and see that Abriel is standing in the doorway, they stop and sort of tilt their head as Abriel looks, and just fine, and just turns back and goes back inside the medbay.
I mean, that looks like a rapport to me. I don't know what they're talking about. Jokes.
All right.
Good friends.
Good friends.
Looks like something.
Looks like something.
The boarding ramp of Awakener closes behind you as you all step out into the town. It's maybe about a quarter mile away that you have sort of set down, walking across what is basically just sort of barren.
Oh, we've done stuff to like cover our faces and stuff, right? Like that's hood
I
up,
don't know,
goggles
too.
on.
Is that-
I am.
Is this planet like can we? Is there atmosphere?
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Is there busy? Like, is it a hopping planet or?
Not really. I mean, there's quite a few towns of varying sizes that dot the surface of the planet. But it's not by any means any sort of metropolitan center at all. We're talking like the best comparison I can think of is just like some of the frontier towns in Firefly. Like that's what we're
Perfect.
looking at here.
Is
So,
it
like,
an? Oh,
Yeah,
sorry.
we
go
should
on.
disguise ourselves a little bit, probably.
Yeah. Is
Yeah,
it
I
is
am.
it an arid environment where it makes
Yeah.
sense to be wearing like a scarf or like a head wrap or
Yeah,
something?
absolutely.
I just have a scarf on. or
Durelia
something.
3 is prone to dust storms every once in a while. So like that's absolutely yeah.
Perfect. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. We're
Yeah.
all
So basically,
scarfed
the area
up.
that you're walking through right now is just sort of a wide, flat basin, where you can see distantly where there are the ridges of bluffs rising up around this area, but you can also see where there is a river that seems to cut right through the center of the basin, right alongside where the town is built. The terrain here is very rocky and dusty with a lot of scrub, like scrub brush and stuff dotting it. Overall, not one of the prettiest planets any of you have seen, but as you make your way towards the town, you can see that the people here, in spite of the rough terrain, seem to have adapted pretty well. The town itself built basically around the river itself. As you make your way in, you can see there's a Keldro man who sort of walks up, seemingly dressed in. You can see that he's dressed in very like rugged desert-looking like clothing. A lot of light canvas and layers built to keep out some of like the worst of the dust. Judging by the armaments that you can see on him, he appears to be some sort of watch or guard or something, as he stands towards the end of town watching you approach. As he looks up to you, says, "Welcome, travelers." Says, "We don't get a lot of visitors around here who aren't pirates, so
Ooh.
I take it by the fact that we're exchanging words and not bullets right now. You're not?
Not pirate.
Good." Says, "What's your business here?"
We're here to meet with somebody. Professor Whose name
I kind of like
don't know.
step forward. I'm like, we're big fans of the work of Professor Alessander Tenoris, and we heard we might find him here.
Way I understand it, the professor's gone pretty far out of his way to make sure people don't know where he is. So I'm curious as to how you found out his location.
Did Wire tell us like we had like a meeting with this guy, or was it just like find him?
I think she just sent his location, right?
Pretty much. Yep.
Like he
Oops,
doesn't know we're coming.
I may have just spilled the beans. All right, let's
We
see.
have a mutual friend, and we were told where to find him.
All right. He says, I'll take you there myself. But if he doesn't want to see you, then I
We'll
will.
go.
Yeah, you will.
I think we might have some things of interest to discuss.
Well, that'll
Let's
be
not antagonize the locals,
that'll-
please. Then Bina will start to walk.
that'll be up to the professor, I think. And without another word, he turns and just starts walking into town, just leading you.
We do
Yep.
have some things to discuss.
He leads you across town, which doesn't actually take that long. It's not a very big place. But he comes to what is pretty clearly essentially the local watering hole. As you can see through some of the windows, you can see some people inside, just sort of seated at tables. A few of them playing games. Couple of them just sort of drinking, like solitary drinking. And but as he leads you there, rather than going through the main doors to the place, he goes to the side where there's a staircase that leads up to where you can see just sort of like a covered veranda that encircles the top of the building, the top story. Walking up to one of the doors, he stands there and presses a button. He holds the intercom button, and then steps back. And you just hear, "Yes, what is it?" And he says, "Professor, you've got some visitors. They said they're here to see you, that you have a mutual friend, but they've been rather they haven't been particularly forthcoming about how they found your location." There's a pause, and you say, "Oh, that's quite all right. I'll see them." As you see he kind of steps back, sort of hooking his thumbs into his belt, as he kind of glances at all of you, still keeping an eye, just very guarded expression, and just taking each of you in, like fully, like the up and down. You get the impression that this man is committing your faces to memory.
Or as much as he can.
Yeah, as much as he
Yeah.
can, or at least your descriptions. He's committing them to memory.
I half unconsciously like copy his stance and put my thumbs in my belt, and as soon as I realize it, I like pull them out really fast and like stand with my arms stiff at my sides.
There's a few minutes, or like probably about 30 seconds or so, as you're waiting before you hear the door just sort of slide open. I just realized we don't need to be playing that anymore. Don't need to be playing computer ship sounds.
Beep, beep.
The door slides open, and you can see standing there an older Anzalonian man, probably well into his 6th century.
Ooh.
As you can see, his hair still keeping a little bit of the like reddish tinge to it, has gone mostly white. Just sort of a shock of white hair that is sort of in a sort of tousled mess, as he regards you sort of with keen bright orange eyes, looking you all over with kind of an avid curiosity, adjusting a pair of spectacles as he's looking at all of you. Very well cut refined-looking goatee as he stands there, wearing clothing that definitely note him as an academic of some high standing, but maybe a little bit worse for wear. Like maybe he didn't plan or prepare for such a rugged environment. Um, he stands there, sort of adjusting his spectacles and saying, "Yes, you. I'm sorry. Do I know you?"
Not yet, but we're hoping to talk to you. Bina kind of like looks at everybody 'cause she's been told not to spill beans very recently. And says, "Wire sent us?"
Why? Why? Oh yes, the woman who's good at computer things. Yes.
Yes.
Yes, she contacted me some time ago. Right. I think she said that somebody might have been coming at some point.
Great scheduling habits.
He turns and says, "Not to worry. I'll see them." And the the guard just sort of straightens up, says, "You sure?" He says, "Oh yes, it's quite all right." And he turns and makes his way back inside. The guard just sort of stands there, just stares you all down one at a time as you walk past him into the apartment.
Nice to meet you. And then I will follow everybody.
Yeah. After you hear the door close behind you before you hear his footsteps starting to walk away.
He's good at his job,
And-
huh?
Yeah.
The professor looks up and says, "What? Oh, yes, he's rather protective of all the citizens of the town, which up until recently did not include me, but now I'm grateful to say that it does. Now, no, hold on. There was something that I was. You can see that this man is very distracted, but it looks like that might just sort of be his constant state of being. As he starts shuffling papers around in this relatively small apartment, most of the surfaces of which are covered in some form of research, academic text, or even just some sort of scientific equipment that looks like it has probably been sitting there for quite some time, possibly set in a state of absent-mindedness and then ignored for a long period of time. As he sort of begins clearing things, he says, "Yes, there was something about. Oh, you were coming to ask about the artifacts, yes?"
Yeah. Yes?
Yes.
Excellent. I could use some assistance.
Certainly.
Yeah, okay.
Well, then, I suppose we begin with a question. How much experience do you have with pirates? And that's where we're going to pick up next time.
Of
I
course.
thought that might be where we stopped.
Yay, pirates. It's pirate time.
Ah, you knew it. Okay.
Oh, pirate.
Pirates.
Oh my.
All right.
Oh my goodness.
So, that's where we're leaving off for tonight. So, I think before we get into our usual stuff, it's probably a good idea for our newcomers to explain anything about what just happened. So,
Raiders, thank you
Yeah.
for sticking around.
thanks so much, those of you who stuck around.
Do you have any experience with raiders?
I love his professor voice.
Oh man, I've been waiting to pull that one
Talk
out.
like that on a daily basis.
I've been waiting to pull that one out. Anyway, this is those of you who stuck around who are maybe brand new here, you are watching Infinite Horizon, which is our sci-fi and supers RPG show run in the Cypher system. Oh my god.
Thank you, Anonymous.
Thank you so much for the gift subs. Oh my gosh.
Thank you.
Whoa.
That's
Ah!
amazing.
Oh my.
Thank you so much. Um,
Ooh,
so
awesome.
we
Nice.
we at Rule of Lore, we are primarily a TTRPG channel, but we do quite a few other things. We've been recently branching into video games, but most often we also have our talk show Ramblemancy, which we have on Fridays, where we talk about all kinds of nerdy stuff and have been having all kinds of great guests recently, and will continue to do so. So
Who's gonna be here on Friday?
this Friday, we've actually got the crew from Cypher Unlimited. Those guys were some of the first people in the streaming world to sort of invite us in, and they had us on their show and asked us a bunch of questions about our channel, and it was pretty great. They're also just a bunch of really great guys in general. They talk primarily about, well, the Cypher system, and that's what we're going to be talking about on Friday. We're going to be talking about the Cypher system. So yeah, you can check that out. And on Saturday, as I mentioned, we're doing branching into video game content as well, which is something we've been wanting to do for like a year more. But we are branching into that. This Saturday, we are picking up with our Borderlands 2 stream, with myself and John, who is Resident Bard in the chat, and also Bree Dedanen, who is a friend of ours and an artist and streamer. And we're going to be playing Borderlands 2. That's my spiel about the channel. Welcome.
I
those
can't
of you who
wait.
are
I
here.
had so much fun watching.
It was-
Borderlands.
Yeah, that was
That's
great.
It was a
I
lot of
gotta
fun.
say.
There were a lot of good clipped
So-
moments, and yeah.
So goofy. I love it. I was like crying, laughing at a couple of points. I gotta say.
Me too.
Yeah, so we're gonna be doing that. Thanks all those of you, first of all, raiders who stuck around, and newcomers, lurkers, and of course our regulars, of course.
Thanks for all the subs and follows today.
Yeah,
folks.
thank you so
It's
much.
hard to
for
call
those.
them out when we're in the middle of
I
scenes,
know,
but
it
we
really-
appreciate
yeah.
you so much.
Yeah,
Appreciate it.
thanks so much. Unfortunately, Ergonaut, nobody is playing Salvador. Our Borderlands 2 makeup is we have 2 sirens and 1 necromancer. That would be
As it should be.
me. So, but yeah, Henry, you have can follow up with some of our outro announcements and stuff.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, everybody, for hanging out, being here with us tonight. Here's a bunch of places where you can stay in touch with us, see some of our content, and support us if you so choose. We have a Patreon, and we have a coffee, and we have a Discord where you can share your own projects, talk about whatever the heck you want, and also get access to some of the rewards that patrons get if you are a subscriber here on Twitch. So join us on Discord.
Get in the Discord.
Get in Discord. You can watch this show, Infinite Horizon, on YouTube, or you can listen to it in podcast form. So if that's more convenient for you, check that out. And I want to say a huge thank you to our VOD Squad and Pod Squad. And of course, in addition to the people who can catch us live, but we're so happy that you can join us for those adventures in whatever way works for you. Let's see what else we got. We got merch, which includes these sick new shirts that Freeman and Lucas are
Check 'em
wearing
out.
now,
Model.
Infinite
with art by
Horizon.
Caitlin. Ergonaut. This is the 15th episode, I think.
Oh my
Yes,
God.
Yes, it is.
So
You can, yeah. So we're a ways in. We
Yeah.
got some hours of fun.
13?
You can.
I thought it was 14.
What?
15.
Pretty sure this is number
It
15.
is 15.
This is 15,
You
Yeah.
catch up on YouTube or through Anchor or a bunch of other. Or
Pretty
a bunch
much
of
for all of the common podcast
Yeah.
hosting places. And if you have a different one, you can get the RSS feed from Anchor and listen to it wherever you want.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, it's wild that this is the 15th episode.
It
We've
is.
put hours into
We
it, like,
really have.
a lot of time. Yeah.
Oh gosh.
Thanks to everyone who's watched all those hours. Holy moly.
Yeah,
Yeah, no
absolutely.
kidding.
Yeah.
I'll just like to end, as always, by giving a huge shout out to Monte Games.
Yes.
Not only
Yes.
for like continually liking and retweeting us, but our stuff, but also just for creating great content. Which, like, honestly, it I say it a lot, but like every single session of a Cypher system game that I play, I come away with like a new thing that I love about it. So yeah, that's
Good, it's a great system.
God, it's
oh,
so
they
good.
make good games.
Anyway, yeah. So everybody, thank you so much. And much as I hate the end of the stream, some of us have to sleep.
Yes.
Some of us will choose not to do that, but
Some of us will try but fail to sleep after the session.
yeah.
Mildly.
So anyway, thank you so much everybody for hanging out with us, for watching, for chatting, for just being here, being you. And we'll see you next time. And like probably Ramblemancy is the next time we're going live with the Cypher system. Sorry, the Cypher Unlimited crew, and this Friday at 7 p.m. Pacific. And so hopefully we'll see you there. But if not, we'll see you the next time you decide to come roll with us. Good night, everybody. Good night and good zone.
Good night.